everyone. I'm going to be doing the speech on beach erosion here around Long Island and the local South Shore of Long Island. But beach erosion along Long Island's Barrier Island, Fire Island, has been wreaking havoc just on the ecosystem and the many things that go on that are connected, that are affected by these coastal beaches. Everything from transportational water routes, such as inlets, to the wildlife has been dramatically affected by erosion due to currents, due to these different massive storms that we've had, all here, right around us in the Great South Bay. But I really believe that it's crucial that we understand this topic so that we can be more aware of the need to preserve beaches and attend to the needs of the waterways. It is vital to us as locals, as people that get to enjoy the benefits of these beaches, that we're aware of the things that are going on, the erosion and the different things that are constantly changing here. But following this presentation, I really do hope that we can come together and begin to support the actions that these counties are taking, that Governor Cuomo has put into effect, and that we can really partner and really be a part of this in helping to preserve the beaches that we get to enjoy each and every year. But I want to kind of get a little more specific now. Robert Moses Beach and Inlet has been under heavy fire, whether it be from these tremendous storms such as Sandy or Hurricane Irene, to the consistent just weathering of currents that seem to just continually just take away from these beaches, and they continue to take sand from where we want it and move it to where we don't want it. But it has really had monumental effects, and has really affected the nautical access to the bay, as well as the wildlife that live in the bay. But really, there's one major inlet that I want to focus on, and that's the Robert Moses Inlet. And there's really been detrimental erosion due to the severe storms again, and to the constant just movement of water. As we have these currents that run up the east coast here, they begin to take sand and move it and take away from these natural inlets that we do have. But erosion on Long Island South Shore, beginning with just the Robert Moses Beach. There was an article that I was reading, and according to it, it was written by NBC. It said erosion has eaten away so much of the once expansive beach that at high tide, ocean water covers large areas of sand, leaving little room for visitors to lay their beach towels. And another article says this, that in 2011, the state parks actually began placing 30,000 cubic yards of sand on the beach at Robert Moses State Park in an emergency to repair the winter erosion damage. And as we can see, that there is a necessity to begin restoring these beaches. It says that at high tide, we actually aren't even, people can't even go down onto the beach because the sand has left and the water has now consumed it. And there has been some efforts that have been taken, such as in 2011, but unfortunately it's a constant battle that we're fighting, so we need to continue to improve and get better. But there's another thing that's been affected, and that's the inlet. You have the beach itself, but then you have the inlet that has been really affected by these storms and these different erosion things. But actually 47% of New York shoreline is critically eroding. So critically meaning that there needs to be action taken, and now that's in the whole state of New York. So that's counting the North Shore of Long Island, the South Shore out by Montauk, all the way in by the city. 47%. So this is obviously something that is bigger than just Robert Moses, than just Long Island. But due to these constant currents, as we can see, it also causes a change in the channel. And I remember I was out on my boat this past summer. I was out actually in Robert Moses in that bay there, and I was out on my boat and I ran aground because the channel had changed so dramatically just over the course of a couple years that I actually had to get out of my boat and push it off of the sand which I had hit under the water. Thankfully, everything with my boat was okay, but still, it's a testimony to the amount of change that we've seen um, just in the channel alone. But the primary reason, or the main reason, that we've been seeing such stark changes over a short amount of time has been these storms, from Hurricane Sandy to Hurricane Irene. Hurricane Irene and smaller storms have sucked sand out to the sea, and this is a case where it's not even moving it down the beach; it's just taking it away, which has caused some serious issues. But in addition to these storms, we also have these currents which continually, every day, day and night, take sand away from where we need it to be and begin placing it where we don't want it to be. So it's quite the battle that we're continuing to fight here. And the reason I'm bringing all of this up, though, is really for two reasons, and there's two significant reasons. One is the wildlife. It really does impact the ecosystem of the bay, has very big effects there. But then also these inlets. These inlets are harbors for ships that are traveling. They are access for the Coast Guard to get out to rescue people. So there's many uses and things that would be lost in the event of these things closing up. But there are solutions to what we can do here, and there's things that we can actually take and begin to apply ourselves. And the first thing is importing sand. The second thing is dredging. Importing sand and dredging, the local the sea bottoms can certainly assist in not only restoring the damage done, but also preserving for years to come. And that's really where we want to get to, is where we're at a point where we can not only restore what's here, but then preserve what we have to do. So what do we have to do? The plan of action is really twofold. One would be sand importation, whether it's trucking it from out of state or taking it from other preserves that we have around Long Island, either out of Montauk or some other local beaches. The second thing would be dredging. Dredging is a process in which we clean up basically the bed of the ocean by scooping mud, weeds, and anything that comes up with that dredge. And it's interesting because I actually had a great uncle who was worked on a dredge boat, and he says the things that they would find on the ocean bottom was just incredible. But also it's a bit healthier for the ecosystem. You're not taking sand from out of state, from a foreign place. You're actually just taking it from right where it is. You're just taking it and moving it up onto the beach. But I really believe that that once we begin to import sand, that it would actually begin to improve our situation. And we've actually begun doing this already. And Governor Cuomo, he said this, that through a collaborative effort, the DEC and the Office of Parks have secured 20,000 cubic yards of sand from a sand stockpile at Robert Moses State Park. And see, what happened is that we used that 20,000 cubic yards of sand to build up the beaches, but now that's depleted, so we really need to begin to replace that. So I think one of the first things we should do is just plan to replace those 20,000 cubic yards. The second thing is dredging. In March of 2014, more than 500,000 yards of sand dredged from boating channels will replenish Robert Moses State Park beaches. So what happened is that we used the 20,000 we had in stockpile, used it, it's depleted, then we began dredging up over 500,000 cubic yards to, again, continue to add to these beaches. Unfortunately, it costs about $23 million, so it is very expensive in order to do it. It is a huge process, but it's the best for the environment because you're not taking sand from outside. You're taking sand that has maybe moved into the channels. You're opening up the channels and putting it back on the beaches. So although it is expensive, it is the most effective. But really where we are right now is we kind of stand at a crossroad for the transportation and wildlife of the Great South Bay, which is directly affected by this Robert Moses Park and beaches and the inlet there. And what happens if we do it? What happens if we begin to take these steps and really partner with the state here? One is it opens up the inlets. There's a Coast Guard station located right inside this inlet that continues to adjust and move. But this Coast Guard station needs the access to the ocean to help and assist and save, in many cases, lives, a lot of people, of ships that are traveling. But also there's a small island inside the bay called Capri Island, and there is a massive fishing boat industry that works there. Just some different party boats, which will take people fishing throughout the year, and that if we don't take action there, will be completely depleted. But also, it's important to understand that is crucial to the health of the wildlife there. Water flow through the bay will keep fresh water in there for the different plants and animals. But then also it'll help with the migration pattern of these fish that continue to move up and down the east coast of the United States. They use the bay as a refuge, and it's important for us to keep that for them. But what happens if we don't? If we don't take these steps of actions, is that the inlets can close up, which would handicap the Coast Guard. The Coast Guard station would have to move. It would also eliminate that fishing business of the Capri Island there. I believe that the wildlife would begin to abandon the bay. Fish would avoid the spawning refuge of the bay. In the summer, it is a great asset to have all of these fish that come into the bay to spawn. But it would just wreak havoc on the ecosystem of the bay. So I think it would be very, very important to continue to take these actions and these actions to do this. But Robert Moses Beach and Inlet really have been under heavy fire, whether it be the occasional major storm or the consistent battering of currents, which has caused incredible amounts of erosion. This erosion can have monumental effects on the nautical access and routes for ships, for the wildlife that call the Great South Bay their home. This needs to be done for the health of the bay's ecosystem and the effectiveness of the Coast Guard base. This is not just animals, as people as well. It's crucial that we understand this topic so we can be more aware of the need to preserve our beaches and attend to the needs of the waterways. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.